Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to our session today on engaging youth volunteers. The Federation of Calgary Communities has had many different organizations reach out to us and talk about engaging volunteers, engaging youth volunteers, and how to get more people actively involved in community. I'm going to open, my name is Paul Minier, and I'm the Director of Education here at the Federation of Calgary Communities. First and foremost, I'm going to open with a land acknowledgement. Really important to recognize that we are gathered on the traditional territories of the Treaty 7 peoples of Alberta. This includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, which includes the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations. And we're also on lands that are home to Métis Nation of Alberta Districts 5 and 6. It's our pleasure today to be joined for a recording that we're going to be sharing with the Calgary Network through the Federation of Calgary Communities. And we are joined by Stephen and Janae here from the city of Calgary. If you want to just wave, folks. We're also joined by Peony from Youth Central. Hi, Peony. And effectively what we're going to be doing is sharing two different recordings in this 1 hour session where the city of Calgary is going to introduce the Calgary Community Association Network and Federation members to youth volunteer initiatives through the city. And then we will also then turn it over to Youth Central, who are going to share some of their opportunities for working with youth volunteers in Calgary. And then, folks, what I'll do as well, I know that we're a closed group today, but I'll also monitor chat. We can share messaging through that as well. And how about I just give you a bit of a 5 minute mark? At the 25-minute mark, I'll give you a little note in chat just to sort of wind up so that we can share the space evenly. Does that work for everyone? Yes. Perfect. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to welcome Stephen and Janae here from the city of Calgary to talk about your program services initiatives and the value of working with youth volunteers. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. I'm going to share my screen. Do you all see it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Yeah. So, yes, I'm Janae. I'll be speaking on the volunteer program through our recreation and social programs at the City of Calgary. So I'm a community and program development worker here at the city. I oversee social programs and how we provide accessible services for children and youth across Calgary.
Yeah, I'm Stephen. I'm a social program specialist with the City of Calgary, and I oversee the volunteers for Park and Play for the summer with our team, as well as oversee kids and youth programming throughout the year, as well as the Park and Play Northeast team.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into it.
Yeah, at the City of Calgary, like especially with social program, recreation and social programs, we have a high focus on summer programs for volunteers ages 13 to 17 years of age, and they would be working with children's programs in recreation facilities and outside with Park and Play. The kids are roughly 6 to 12 years of age, and yeah, it's an easy opportunity to provide kids with those volunteer opportunities that they might not be able to get otherwise, to support people in their community as well. We want to provide a fun and safe space to build those skills. And that starts with our application process, where it's just a couple of sheets of paper, and they just have to have two references with the application to move forward, to potentially go forward into the interview. Most kids that we get, or I guess students, youth, will pass into the interview stage. It's a great, just by sending them the application, if they fill it out or they don't fill it out, is a good if they don't fill it out, they don't want to be there, right? So it's a great way to now I forget the word, but to get people out screen them out, I guess that's the right word. The reference checks day is on the form, so it's easy for us to just check over it. It's not any extra work for us to phone people or try to get people or chase down people. It's right there, and then they go into the interview, and then we do mandatory training where they are taught all about what they're going to be doing in the position, as well as how to work with children, play games, and different things like that. Do you have anything to add, Janae?
Yeah, I would say we do have a pretty like step-by-step screening process, and that's because in the city there are it's a quite well known, the volunteer program, and so we do have that screening process to be able to bring in the kids who are like very interested and who are willing to commit to that. And of course, we do support them in that application process if they need support. But yeah, that's kind of part of that screening process.
Yeah, the biggest thing, if we want to build the foundation for these kids, we want to meet them where they're at. We want to provide the opportunities, no matter who they are, where they come from, their backgrounds, their abilities, to have an opportunity to volunteer. And so we want to build that, to build their skills, whether they have ever worked with children or not. We want to be able to support them and grow that. We want to maintain. We have a big a whole pamphlet on like for volunteers to what they expect. We want to build that structure for them, not only for the volunteers but also for the mentors that they have. So we provide mentorship for each of these people if they get into the volunteer role on site. So they have a mentor that will build into them, that they can ask any questions to, somebody that will connect with them and kind of reach out to them if they see them kind of struggling or doing great, like just providing that feedback and that just the support there. We want everybody to succeed. So no matter who you are, whether you again have that ability to work with children or not, we want to provide a safe space. So even with our application, if anybody has any issues with applying, or maybe they can't, we have a commitment of 2 weeks of the summer that they have to do. If they can't do that, they can always reach out to myself or my other colleagues that are running the volunteers and just make it work for them, especially if there's needs that are wanted. If anybody has aid they work with, they're welcome to come as well. So we accept anybody and everybody if they fill out the application and go through the interview. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. One of the biggest tools that we use, you guys might know this, is Better Impact. Better Impact is something that like really houses everything, all the information that we have for the youth. So their emergency contacts in the application, because we have so many sites for volunteering, they actually pick the sites they want to volunteer on certain weeks. And so that's all put into Better Impact. They're given a profile with their name and all their information, and they can actually organize it themselves, that whether they're going to miss a day or they can't make it that week, they can change that. Or if they want to add on weeks for volunteering, if there's opening in different sections, the volunteer can be the one to organize that or do it. We do have maybe the week before the volunteering, we have like a cutoff date that they can't change it anymore. This is also super beneficial for us as staff. We do goal setting with the kids or with the youth, as we'll see in a moment. All these goal settings and all the daily sheets that they fill out all get uploaded onto their profile in here. And so because they have to volunteer for a couple weeks at a time, or like 2 weeks of the summer, it's probably different locations and they'll be working with different people. And so they won't know them. And so the people they're the staff that will be working with them the second time can always go back into their file and see the paperwork that they've done, see the goals, see the improvements that they want to make or that they should be making for that. Yeah. Yeah, and then this is one of our biggest tools. We want to help the volunteers grow and succeed and meet them where they're at. And so we encourage them, or we kind of get them to write a weekly goal at the start of each week for what they want to improve in themselves or what they want to kind of experience. And so the mentor, so we have a staff that is a mentor that will, as I mentioned, that will connect with them, that will go through this goal sheet with them. And on a daily basis, we have like a daily sheet at the end of the day that they fill out what they've done, how they've met their goals, all of that kind of stuff. And again, that encouragement with the mentor to be present with them, to help them fill it out so they can help grow them. And then on the Fridays or at the end of each week, the mentor will provide an evaluation of how the volunteer actually did. And this helps us as staff. So as I'm overseeing volunteers, we get lots of referrals for they're asked for references from these volunteers. Even though I might not have met this person, this sheet will tell me everything about that volunteer, how they did, and so I can be a reference for that volunteer. As well, we also get the volunteer to fill out a evaluation of the mentor. This is big because, again, we want to meet the volunteers where they're at. And if we can improve anything with how we train the mentors or do things with the mentors to help support the youth, that's a huge thing for us.
All right. So this is a snapshot of what the volunteer program looks like throughout the year. Sorry, Stephen, you're having a little bit of feedback. Do you mind if you mute?
Yep.
Thanks. All right. So even though the volunteers are essentially supporting our summer programs, we set up the volunteer program from January onwards. So this looks like from January, we identify our max capacity of volunteers that we need to creating the volunteer registration packages. In February, we call on our returning volunteers and see what their interest is in supporting the summer. In March, that's when we reach out to new volunteers and they can register and inquire about volunteers through the City of Calgary's 311 call service. And this is when we, offer information, provide sessions, because this could be a very new experience for many youth. And then in April, May, that's when we set up the volunteer interviews, set up Better Impact. And then in June, we confirm the placements. We do our training so that they're set up for July and August, which is when our summer programs happen. We also make sure to acknowledge and appreciate our volunteers throughout the weeks, but we also end on a volunteer appreciation and making sure that we have the time planned out for like any filing or data collection, anything like that that will help us support adapting and building upon the volunteer program for the next season. So one of the things that we find that find really great success in our youth volunteer program is building pathways for helping them grow, helping them build the relationship. And that even happens even before the volunteer program even starts. So something that is a big support is our lead youth program. So the lead youth program works on building leadership skills in youth across Calgary. So we go through different modules and they earn a certificate at the end of the school year. They also get to work together on a practicum project where they engage in the community and they learn a whole bunch of skills like team building skills, project management, even just understanding what their values are. And from that program alone, once they're done it, when the volunteer program opportunity happens, they're already ready. They've built those relationships, they've built those skills, so they can take on those volunteer opportunities. Another way that we build relationships is through volunteers who have returned. So many of our returning volunteers, or many of our volunteers who started in the summer, we asked them if they would like to continue on into the next season. And any volunteers who do want to return, they do go through another application process. However, they can skip the interview and kind of just sort of go on through to the next season. And that really helps build their experience and their skills, and also get familiar with the recreation leader role, which helps them prepare for any employment opportunities, which goes into my third point. And so we want to, from the volunteer opportunities that we provide youth, we also want to provide further opportunities for them to grow. So that means connecting with the City of Calgary's Youth Employment Center, which Stephen, you can speak a little bit more on.
Yeah, the Youth Employment Center is a great support. They work with individuals 15 to 24 years of age, helping them with resume building, job searching, career development, interview, just interviews, and connecting them with employers when they have those connections. It's a great opportunity for people that have no idea what they want to do in the future to go to and just chat with somebody. Or if somebody knows exactly what they're wanting to do, they can go and help them with their applications, and even potentially connecting them with different resources and informational interviews with employers or city staff, anybody like that. So we would always get people that have doctorates to people that have no experience. So a wide breadth of people that they can help.
Awesome, thanks. So ultimately, why we have our youth volunteers, it is a mutual relationship. So the volunteers that support our summer programs, they have a huge benefit to the community. And so we want to make sure that we acknowledge and we celebrate our volunteers. So we acknowledge our volunteers throughout the summer program, and we do this really big celebration where we get together and we have a big party. Last year we went to Beach YYC, had pizza. It was a really great time. And the reason why we celebrate them is because they made a huge impact. So last year in 2025, in our summer, we had about 170 youth volunteers, and they completed over 14,000 hours in total, which is huge, because those hours, which we could have paid staff for, used more resources. Our volunteers, through their contribution, was able to fill that. And they serve 65 communities. So yeah, in us helping build their skills and providing those opportunities and volunteering, they get to engage and give back to the community. And from what we've heard from youth is that when we build that relationship, when we get to know them, the number one thing we always hear is they always want to know how they can give back. So this is a really great opportunity for them to do that. And then what do the youth have to say about our volunteer program? So last year, 100% felt valued and appreciated, and 95% expressed satisfaction with the tasks that they were given and that they were aligning with their goals. So that could be academic goals, career goals, relationship, personal, things like that. And 93% said that they made a new friend. So this feedback, although it's great to hear that we can offer something that is beneficial to the youth, this information is also really helpful for us because it tells us that we are providing a service that is beneficial to the youth, and they work very closely with our staff. So, in terms of creating a healthy work culture, a place where kids and youth can grow, how they can contribute to the community, this kind of information is always very helpful for us to know how they're experiencing the programs. So this is a quote that we received from a parent from one of our programs, Park and Play, last year. They said that, They said that it's great to see volunteers helping the kids in the Park and Play program. They were great role models for the kids, playing games and running with them in the park. Thank you to the city for providing these opportunities for young people to build their experiences, engaging in the community. So once again, it is so beneficial to engage young people and to, provide these volunteer opportunities, because not only are we we're feeling supported and we're helping build their skills, but also people in the community notice. They acknowledge that, we are providing those opportunities, and they show a lot of gratitude in that we're building up these young people to be able to give back. All right, so a lot of what we talked about is specifically specific to the City of Calgary's Youth Volunteer Program. And I know that we are in a bit of a unique situation that other organizations may not be in terms of, people knowing about the youth program and the kind of demand. And so we really wanted to pick out some of like sort of the universal pieces that helped and build the success of the youth program. So the first tip that we have is to meet youth where they're at. So youth are, a lot of them are like, I mean, if you're thinking of ages 11 to 17, it's a very wide range. They can have very wide ranges of experiences and skills and values and things like that. So it's really important to know, who are the individuals that you are wanting to work with, and what is it that they need to succeed. What level are they at? So what kinds of work experience do they have? Do they have no work experience? Is it mainly school? So trying to see where they're working from. What do they value? Like what's important to them? And what kinds of opportunities are they looking for? And all of these questions, all of these things to consider, it starts even outside of the volunteer program. It starts even at our marketing level. So if you have a volunteer program that you promote on your website, but youth don't know to go onto your website, then it won't reach them. So how are we even providing our services and our opportunities in places where youth are already at, so that they have access to what opportunities are available to them? The second tip that we have is to build a relationship. So I remember when I was 11, I was really nervous meeting new people. I didn't even know how to talk to new people. So one of the things that we can offer is, building those opportunities for them to engage and initiating those conversations, initiating those like touch points of how we can engage with each other. And we have the opportunity with our LEAD program, but also like how is your organization going out into the community and really like showing up and being able to have those conversations with children and their families. And then the last one, kind of what we mentioned in the last 2 points, was offer opportunities for engagement. So even within our program, our mentorship piece in the youth volunteer program is huge in terms of, building the structure, kind of what Stephen said, in terms of, helping them bring whatever experience they have and building upon their skill set, and having those conversations of like, where are the areas that you want to grow? How am I going to help you? And that will really help build their confidence and be able to really show up in program. Focus on those skills development. And then what other opportunities are we providing them? So like Stephen mentioned before, is are we providing them with further volunteer opportunities? Are we appreciating them? Is there a way to, are there spaces where we can actually like sit down and talk and, celebrate and do all those like amazing things that, it's not just the volunteer task, but it's the, how can we sit down and actually build this relationship together? So really, I think the volunteer program for youth is provides really good opportunities for them, and it's more than that. It's really kind of building the future of people who will be engaging in the community, and these are going to be future employees and future leaders and things like that. So we really can take a part in that development. All right. So that's us. Probably not that much time for questions, but this is our contact if you ever want to reach out.
Wonderful. Why don't we continue with the presentations and then see if there's questions or things to add at the end as well? Because I mean, all sorts of ideas are popping into my head too. But We've also got Peony here from Youth Central. How about we do that? Peony, are you comfortable if we move into that? Janae, Stephen, can we have some chit chat at the end?
Totally. Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
For
Wonderful.
sure.
Peony, welcome from Youth
Hello.
Central.
Hello, yeah, I'm Peony. So give me 1 second while I share my screen here.
Thank you for joining us.
And can you see
Not quite
presentation?
yet. Nope, not yet.
Not yet. Oh, give me 1 second. Um, here we go.
There we are.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, my name is Peony. I'm a youth volunteer core program coordinator at an organization called Youth Central. You'll see my contact information there below, but we can share it with the group later on as well. So, just a little bit about Youth Central. So, our mission is to empower youth to find and build their communities. So, as an organization, we've been in the Calgary community since 1994. We run 8 different programs, and all of our programs are geared towards giving youth the opportunity to gain leadership skills as well as to find volunteer opportunities here in the community. I am going to focus a little bit on a program called the Youth Volunteer Corps program. This is the one that I personally run, but this is the one where I think we can connect with a lot of the different community associations across Calgary. If you're ever interested in engaging youth volunteers, or if you're just interested in working with youth, I think we're a really good organization that will provide you the resources to kind of connect you with some of the youth who are eager to volunteer. Yeah, so like I mentioned, our YVC program is our largest program here at Youth Central. We currently have over 3,000 youth in our database. We're similar to the city of Calgary, where we use a database called Better Impact. So any youth between the ages of 12 to 18 can create a profile. It's completely free to join our programming. Once they are accepted, the only requirement is that they do need to have a parent consent form because they are under the age of 18. So they do need a parent consent form to in order to approve their program, their profile. But once approved, they have access to our volunteer database. We, as an organization or through the program, we offer various volunteer opportunities throughout the month. I would say during the school year, there's probably around 50 to 60 volunteer opportunities that we offer for our youth. As we enter into the summer programming of July and August, we're closer to 150 projects each month. All of our projects are, of course, outside of school hours, so either on a weeknight evening or on a weekend. But as long as youth aren't in school, we work with, last year alone, we worked with 140 different community agencies to provide youth volunteers for their organization or their cause. So with this program itself, it's completely flexible for our youth, so they can sign up for as little or as many volunteer opportunities as they'd like. We have youth who sign up on a weekly or maybe like to volunteer 3, 4 times a week, but we have some youth who are very seasonal as well. So maybe during spring break, during the summer break, or just occasionally whenever they feel like volunteering. Because we partner with so many different community agencies, they're also all throughout the Calgary and surrounding area. So our goal is to find as many community partners that are throughout the Calgary and surrounding areas where volunteers can volunteer within their own quadrant or maybe their own community that they live in, or even maybe their own school community. I know community is a very broad word, but for some of our youth, they've grown up in the same home or with the same students their whole lives. And this is a really great opportunity for them to learn about some of the other organizations that exist or some of the causes that they might be interested in learning more about or to gain kind of that experience here. So when we talk about community agencies, it can really ranges. So majority of our partnerships are with not-for-profit or charitable organizations. So this can range from like shelters to maybe grassroots organizations, a lot of seniors' homes. We work with summer camps in this, a lot of festivals in the city. So you might see us at Global Fest or Taste of Calgary in the summer. Lots of Stampede breakfasts or any of those community associations that I mentioned earlier. So residents associations, HOAs as well, yeah, and community associations throughout the city. So if you're organization is ever looking for volunteers to help with your special events, either if it's like a holiday party, a skate party, Halloween, Easter, Stampede breakfast, and you're just looking to engage youth in your community or at your event, I think we are a really good resource for you to do so as well. With our YVC program, go to our next page here. This is kind of just like a summary here. So, with our YVC program, the really nice thing is it's super flexible for any agency to work with us as well. We don't have any cost or any partnership fee if you are interested in requesting youth volunteers. You can request as little or as many or as often as you'd like. So it could be essentially for one event a year. It could be for on a weekly basis. We do work with, for example, the Salvation Army, where we provide volunteers on a 4 times a week. So there's never too many times that you can request youth volunteers because we do have that high demand from our youth right now. So one thing about our program is it's in a group environment. When you do request youth volunteers from us, the minimum is usually 6 volunteers, but it can go as high as 12 volunteers or even more. I know if especially during the summer with Stampede, you do need a lot of people. So sometimes we provide up to 24 volunteers for one event. So everything is in a group environment because we want these individual youth to be able to be with their peer, be able to make those connections, to be able to volunteer with like-minded youth such as themselves who want to be there and to give back to their community. Like I mentioned earlier, we work exclusively with youth between the ages of 12 to 18. So essentially anyone in that junior high, high school age range. We do also work with some 18-year-olds who are maybe 18, 19, but they are still completing their high school diploma. So as long as a youth is completing their high school diploma, we're more than happy to work with them because we want to be that resource, an available program for them to continue to build these skills as they are transitioning into adulthood. We do have an adult team leader, which is a paid staff with Youth Central. So I think a lot of times our agencies are wondering, well, we want to work with youth, but they're minors, and there seems to be a lot of like risks factors, or maybe I don't know how to work with a minor. But the really nice thing with us is we do send an adult team leader at every project. So this adult team leader is helpful in a sense that they're there to make sure that the team is safe. If there's any problems, our volunteers know to talk to the team leader and to kind of express their problems or their fears or even positive comments. Our youth are they're kind of that point of contact for our youth volunteers there. They're also trained, so they're the first aid certified, and we also do the police check and vulnerable sector check for them because they are our representative in the community, and then they are the ones responsible for overlooking our volunteers there. A really big thing is they're responsible for recruitment. So as an agency partner, if you are interested in working with youth, for example, if you're like, I would love 8 volunteers for my community event, I'm having a really hard time going through my own network or my own community, but I'd love to engage some youth at our event. You can reach out to us and then you let us know that you are looking for 8 volunteers. It is the team leader's role to make sure that 8 volunteers show up. Because we use a database, we can send out emails, we can do recruitment emails to make sure that we are able to fill all those spots. Like I mentioned earlier, we currently have over 3,000 youth, and we're kind of in a season where youth want to volunteer. They want to be engaged, they want to give back to their community. So recruitment really hasn't been too big of a problem for us, which is really exciting because it really shows that youth want to be part of their community. They want to give back. So as a community partner, it's really exciting to see youth of different diversities, backgrounds, ages who want to come to your community event and to either volunteer at like a kids craft table or maybe helping with line management. Maybe they're help with setup and tear down. They're just those bodies to help make sure that your event is successful and moving smoothly. So, kind of just as a big summary of what I've been talking about is when you are working with youth, they're the ones who want to be there and they're usually very excited. They're very enthusiastic when they're at an event. I know sometimes youth might have a really bad reputation in the community. Maybe there's a crowd of youth who are always at the playground and disrupting how things are working. But a lot of the youth who are signing up through our Youth Volunteer Corps program, they want to be there, they want to give back, and they're excited to help. They usually have a smile on their face and they're ready to be thrown into what a task that you are looking for them to help you with. It really reduces time with recruiting and coordinating volunteers. I think this is one thing that we've heard from a lot of our community partners where they want to put on an event, but just finding those volunteers is very difficult, or it could be very time consuming or very discouraging. Or I've also talked to some agency partners where they're like, you know what, at the end of the day, I just get my family members, everyone that I know to come help because I'm just having such a hard time. But if by partnering with us, you know that there's going to be a group of very enthusiastic, very excited youth who are like, I'm ready to be there. So it just reduces that time. It takes off the stress, the pressure of event planning. Event planning is already a lot of work. I know sometimes with the community association, you're a volunteer, right? You're spending your own personal time outside of your regular day job to put on an event for your community. So by partnering with us, it just reduces all that recruitment time and that coordination to know that, hey, I know Youth Central is going to be sending a reliable group of volunteers, and then they're going to be ready to help me when the event starts. We have that trained team leader, so they're there to help manage all the risk and supervise on site. I'm very proud to say that I've been at the organization for 7 years, and we've always had very successful, never any risk, or no one's ever been hurt or anything like that. So our team leaders are there to really make sure that everyone's having a good time, right? They're making sure that the tasks and the activities are safe for our volunteers, and that if there's anything they can help mitigate or converse with a volunteer, maybe if a volunteer is using their phone a lot as an agency contact, it can be very kind of awkward or uncomfortable to have to talk to that youth. But you can talk to that team leader, and the team leader will make sure that they can communicate it properly with the youth volunteers, because we do have a no phone policy. We do have different policies and standards to make sure that we are keeping these youth accountable while ensuring that we're giving them this opportunity to volunteer. And of course, we're just capturing the hearts and the minds of the next generation of donors, volunteers, and just ensuring that your cause is supported in the future. A lot of our volunteers, once they graduate out of the program, they continue to volunteer. That's our goal. There is a statistics through a research done where a lot of the youth volunteers who hit 30 hours will continue to volunteer into their adulthood when they turn 18 or 19. So this is something that we've seen a lot of. A lot of our youth volunteers are exposed to so many agencies, different opportunities in the city. And when they graduate out of the program, they want to continue to volunteer with these agencies. They found a cause that they're passionate about, a task that they really enjoy, and then they just continue to do it as they become adults themselves. So I think this is something really important with working with community associations or HOAs, that you are capturing those youth who might live in nearby neighborhoods or even in your neighborhood. Maybe they just didn't know there was all these events or opportunities to be engaged with their community, but by opening up this network of that, hey, I didn't know my community association maybe did a Easter event and I had a really good time. I would love to continue to volunteer with them and help out with them, and then they would come to you directly in the future, or maybe when they become adults themselves, and if they're still in that neighborhood, they want to be a board member or they want to be that event coordinator to continue to provide these amazing like events for the community. So they're kind of like that next generation of, yeah, donors and volunteers that hopefully will continue to become like engaged in that community or that event that they volunteered at. So kind of looking at the flip side of our programming is like, why do our volunteers, like, why do youth volunteer? I think a really large one is just that sense of community. We get so many youth volunteers who come in, they're uncertain. There's a few reasons why youth begin volunteering. I think most often it's like, oh, we're looking for volunteer hours for reference letters, or um, my mom signed me up, my parents signed me up. I didn't know what I was doing. But as they continue to volunteer, they're really like, wow, there's like a sense of community. I'm with these like-minded youth, a lot of youth that I might have a lot of interest in or a lot of in common with. And it's just a community within the Youth Central program. Again, because everything is in a group setting, they're always with their peers. If we're at an event, maybe there's multiple stations, multiple tasks, they're paired up with one another to complete that task together. So that kind of built into that teamwork, that they are always learning to work with other people. It could be super simple, it might be your friend, but sometimes there will be conflict. It gives you those skills to learn to work in a team environment and to work with other people while they are out volunteering. Another big thing is just that networking. So it could be networking among the youth. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but I think LinkedIn is even becoming more popular in the youth generation, honestly. A lot of them are trying to get well connected as they're younger, as before they get into university, especially for those who are pursuing a business degree, right? I think just with the social media and the LinkedIn networking platform, that's a really great way to network with other youth, maybe that they volunteered with, or maybe youth that they would have never met if they didn't volunteer because they only know the youth in their clubs or their own school environment. But this gives them an opportunity to work or meet other youth in other communities of the city, as well as networking with the agency. Again, we always want to say that our youth volunteers um, are able to connect with the community association, are able to connect with the community agency. We want them to be able to be like, hey, I volunteered with you when I was a youth and I had a good experience. Let's connect. I want to stay in touch. So just continuing that networking that is super valuable and super important in today's society. We'll talk a little bit about leadership. So, with our programming itself, there's tons of leadership opportunities. When you are volunteering in a group environment, you do see youth who have a little bit more leadership qualities, the ones who are like, I'm willing to step up to the plate. I would love to help mitigate tasks, or I would love to help support the team leader if the opportunity presents itself. We also have like a sub program called the Senior Volunteers. So there's currently 17 youth who've been with us for at least 1 year, have volunteered over 100 hours with us, and they're ready to be the next generation of team leaders. We're giving them that leadership opportunity where they can help support the team leaders at our project, help run our icebreaker and our reflection activities, and kind of just help support some of the younger volunteers, the 12, 13-year-olds who might be like, this is my very first time volunteering. I might be nervous, and we're just having these older youth who are like, I'm here to help support you and answer any of the questions that you may have. And the last benefit that we've gotten a lot of is just job experience for our youth. Um, Youth unemployment is definitely continuing to rise. A lot of our youth are having difficulties finding summer jobs, and I know Stephen and Janae kind of talked about the Youth Employment Center. We're really good partners with them because a lot of the times they will send youth over to us if they're saying that if you don't have much on a resume, why don't you try volunteering? Build those skills. You can at least say how many hours or what kind of experience you've had through volunteering that will help you eventually get a job, right? So a lot of our youth do come through us, hoping to gain any experiences such as communication. Learning to write a proper email is something that I'm surprised about with a lot of the youth. They still don't know how to write emails and to how to communicate with other adults. So just gaining these skills and accountability. If you sign up for a shift, you need to show up, right? Similar to a job, you can't just not show up if you don't feel like it. So giving them these skills that hopefully help build them so whenever they're ready to graduate or whenever they're ready to find a job that they have something that they can put on their resume or some experience that they can kind of talk about through volunteerism. So, in a sense, like for the community, I think a really big thing is just that connection piece, right? So, in a community sense, just creating a connection between the association that exists all throughout the Calgary, as well as a connection with the youth volunteers or just youth in general, honestly. Um, Bringing that awareness for our youth. I will say a lot of the times when we have these volunteers come, they like and work with us at all these different agencies when we do have our reflection activities. Majority of them are like, I didn't even know we have a community association. I didn't even know they existed. They live in the community their whole lives, but they just aren't aware of what area they're in, right? So I think that's something that for the community itself. It's just important to learn that there's all these amazing associations from different sizes. They run different events, they have different goals that are there to help really connect the community from children to seniors. They want people to come in, they want people to be part of their programming. Of course, different associations have different activity levels. Some are more active than others, but it's just raising that awareness that saying, hey, even if maybe if your community association isn't as active, the neighborhood next to you, they run lots of events. You can definitely go and attend them. You can volunteer with them, and you can kind of build those connection pieces there. And the most important thing is they're your next generation, right? You want to, if you We also hear from some of our community association partners that they're like, we have so many youth who live in our community, but we don't see them ever. They're not really active. They don't come out to any of our community events. I just don't know how to engage youth. But they really are the next generation, and sometimes they just don't know how to be connected to that community, that specific community. So, as the next generation, by kind of partnering with us or just creating some sort of exposure through Youth Central, that these youth will know that their community association runs these events and that they can go to them directly in the future if they are wanting to do or to volunteer. I know some HOAs or like community associations who have youth councils. They're looking to hear their youth and to have youth voices, but they're having difficulties again getting these youth to come on a regular basis or to come to the very first meeting. But they're that next generation, and we can kind of be that aid for them, where we can share that this is happening and that if you're interested in engaging youth, we can provide those volunteers as just like a foot into the door of that association. Um, Quickly, I just wanted to talk about some of our other larger scale programs that if you are interested in learning more about, you can go on our website, or you can connect with me. I can definitely provide more information. We have something called the Mayor's Youth Council. So the Mayor's Youth Council is 21 youth on a committee. They meet with us weekly from October all the way to June, and it is a way for them to connect with City Council and to be part of that civil engagement. So giving youth a political voice. It's really exciting. So sometimes I think a lot of the youth in the community want to change something about the city or they have an opinion about what's going on. And through this committee, it gives them an opportunity to share their thoughts or make those change within that. So they do town halls where they invite city councilors to high schools where youth can ask their counselor or their ward representative questions about what's happening in the community. They meet with the mayor twice a year. I know they just met with Mayor Farkas last month, so that was really exciting for them because he has transitioned into the new role. So that's something that a lot of our youth really enjoy because it's giving them that platform to advocate for youth issues in our Calgary community. We also have a program called the Calgary Youth Foundation. This is in collaboration with the Calgary Foundation, but essentially it is just giving youth a philanthropic view on the community. So they do different granting cycles. So if any of you have any opportunities where you want to engage youth, or you're looking, or you have youth in your lives who would love to bring an idea to life, they have two different funding cycles where youth can apply for up to $2,000 to make their idea to come to life. So these youth on the committee review these grant opportunities, and then they're the ones who distribute these funds to these youth-driven initiatives, as well as they learn about fundraising. So they do need to participate in donor presentations. So learning about fundraising, learning about how a foundation actually works in the community. So it's a really fun opportunity for our youth who are interested in philanthropy. And the last one is just called the Youth of Distinction Awards, YODA. I just wanted to highlight this one as well. So if anyone in the future has a youth in your life, we recognize 24 youth for 8 non-academic categories. So this can range from like advocacy to peer support to being persevering through an situation. So anyone in the Calgary and surrounding areas can be nominated. And what happens is there'll be 24 finalists. They get invited to a brunch at the Calgary Zoo, and we get to hear their stories and kind of just recognize them for the great things that they're doing in their community. Our event usually happens on the first Saturday of the month. So it's happening, sorry, first Saturday of May. So it's happening in a couple of weeks here. But if at any time we do accept nominations on a year-round basis, so it's just a really great way to recognize some of the amazing youth in your own community as well. Yeah, so that's kind of the end of my presentation. If you are interested, I only briefly talked about four of our programs, but again, we do have 8 programs at Youth Central. So if you're interested, feel free to take a look at our website, and I've left my contact information there as well. If you have any direct questions, or if you are interested in engaging youth volunteers, feel free to reach out, and we'd love to connect and to learn more about how we can support your future event or how we can provide volunteers for your future or your community association or any organization that you might be part of.
Wonderful. Thank you, Peony. This is so heartwarming for me hearing all of these presentations and like because I used to be a youth leader for the city in Lead. Um, and then I partner with Youth Central all the time and they help us put on the Board Leadership Calgary Conference, which is in 2 Saturdays. And um, first off, I have a question for everybody here. I wanted to just know if anybody else has a question before I ask mine. Uh, Kristen or Janae Stephen for Peony or Peony for the city or Lovely. Like, I don't know if anybody has a question before I jump in with mine.
I do have a
Okay.
question for
Yeah.
Youth Central Peony. So it's free to register for youth and stuff. I just referred to one of my lead youth that was too young for the city of Calgary to Youth Central, and they had never heard of it. So, but I had heard different things, so I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
do amazing work. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so all of our programming is completely free. So especially through our Youth Volunteer Corps, um, all they have to do is create a profile and Better Impact, and then they just need to attach a parent consent form, which I think is very standard for any youth joining a program, and that's it. It's up to them to sign up for projects and to continue to check the database. We do post projects on a regular basis, so that's why we say it's important to keep checking because sometimes it might be full one day, but the next day we post more opportunities.
That's awesome. And then, do you guys do presentations for potential, like for lead programs? So I'm in charge of some lead programs. So
Yeah.
just wondering if there's a minimum of people that you do a presentation for or whatnot. And if you kind of
Yeah, we do presentations all the time. So if you are interested in a presentation, you can send me an email or go to our website. There is a presentation section. I do apologize, our website is a little bit slow right now. We are going through a revamp, so we should get a refresh in June. It's coming up here. But yeah, we do presentations. It could be virtual if it's easier for your group. Sometimes we can send someone in person depending on availability and timing. We also have a pre-recorded presentation. So sometimes some partners just like the flexibility of just like push and play, and then someone will go through kind of the concept of volunteering or some of the benefits of it.
awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions for any of the facilitators or people present here? Okay, I'd like to ask my question. So the Federation is going to be sharing this with our entire network. We'll be promoting this video to encourage our members to reach out and engage with both organizations and think about youth volunteers. And we do get this question every year, like where are the youth, right? And Peony and Stephen and Janae, you all kind of talked about this idea that youth really want to be in community, but don't necessarily know where to start. And I think one of the things that I'd like to ask all three of you, if that's okay, is if you could give one tip for, and you've already shared your tips. I'm just as a takeaway to sort of summarize our presentation today. If you could give one tip to an organization that would love to see more youth involved but don't know where to start, what do you think is a really great sort of starting place just to give that sort of nudge to groups who'd like more youth involvement but don't know what maybe that first step should be?
Sure, I could go first. I think in terms of just like engaging youth, one of the biggest tip I can think of is just being open, so making it super accessible, right? So we don't want to, as in through our YVC program, we want to break down as many barriers as possible. We want to make it as simple as push that sign up button and I'm showing up. So even if you don't want to partner with us, if you're only looking for a couple of youth, just making it super easy where maybe they can DM you on Instagram. I think using Instagram or if you have TikTok is one of the best ways to engage the youth volunteers. Unfortunately, youth aren't really on Facebook anymore. I find that sometimes we talk to agencies and they're using Facebook. So they or community newsletters. So youth don't really they're not reading those. They're on Instagram. They're on TikTok. So those are ways to kind of promote your event or to do a recruitment call out and just making it as simple as signing up through a simple form and making it as simple as or as barrier free as possible.
Wonderful, thank you. Janae,
I can
Stephen?
Yeah, I can go next. Yeah, the digital spaces, that's where youth are at right now. So I totally agree with what you said, Peony, there. Also, like go to the events where they're already established in the community. So like talking to schools, going to parent teacher nights, having a booth. If there's an event happening at the community association or at a rec center or like in a local park, like just making a presence there. And yeah, it really does. I really do like the face to face, like in person, because then they're actually talking to someone that you are starting to build that relationship, and they get a sense of who you are. It's not just the name of the organization or the volunteer opportunity. It's like a person is attached to that, and I think that really does help ease sort of the uncertainty and maybe the insecurities that youth may have in terms of um, taking on different opportunities. Like once again, this is a lot of them have never worked before or had a conversation with someone outside of school or their parents or things like that. So really it is helping build those steps, I think is really important.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah, my biggest tip is not to give up. Not to give up that there is youth around. Going like Janae, like both before me said, like there's going to places. I think networking is huge. So within if it's community association or different organizations, there's parents that probably work for your organization. Start using their kids. Word of mouth is huge, and a positive experience is huge. Going into schools, principals or staff just want their kids to have experiences that they might not have outside of school or anything like that. And I think too is like it has to be a built culture within that. I know people that I think Janae and I were talking about it recently, where like I grew up volunteering my whole life because it was part of my DNA with my family and stuff like that. Other people say you're not allowed volunteering unless you're paid. That's not volunteering, that's paid work, right? And because it's depending on the value of the family, depending all of that. So it has to be a built culture within your community and like how you're selling that product. I know volunteering is not a product, but it really is if you want to get the right people. And also know that not everybody wants to volunteer, and so if there's a no, that's okay. Keep going. Don't give up on what you're hoping to build. But also having those clear kind of expectations and also kind of patience and empathy for the volunteers if they don't do it right the first time or the second time or the third time, but just keep on encouraging them, and because that sometimes that positive adult or positive person is what's going to benefit them the most out of that volunteer experience.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Thank you, Stephen, Janae, City of Calgary. Thank you, Peony, Youth Central. On behalf of the Federation of Calgary Communities, we're really leaning into all sorts of sort of promotional spaces at this moment. March is Community Association Awareness Month, but then April has National Volunteer Week, and youth volunteerism is something that we're trying to promote and highlight because, again, so many of our member organizations are saying we need that next generation of leadership, and we're trying to sort of move those conversations forward in really productive ways. So, on behalf of the Federation, thank you to all three of you for your presentation. We will be sharing this video in our citywide newsletter, Get Engaged. So please stay tuned for that. And on behalf of the Federation, I just want to thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you for
All right.
having us.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.